This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask with your host, Dr. Judith Briles. On the show today, you'll find out where book publishing is going and how to take advantage of it. How to identify and avoid publishing predators. What opportunities are emerging as the book trade evolves in new forms. How to avoid losing money and much, much more. Join us now as a variety of publishing pros will deliver insights and strategies to take the author to the next level of publishing. It's your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Brought to you by Author U and the Book Shepherd. And now, here's your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Well, it's been an amazing week. We're just come off the Author U extravaganza, and it was 3 days of jammed pack information that all I can tell you is you should have been there. Those of you who were knew that it was an amazing amount of takeaways. And then I've just posted, and I should tell all of you, it's on the authoru.org website. And if you click on, I think it's a store tab, I have just posted all of the DVDs and the CDs that you can get. There's a bundling price. So it's certainly well worth it to grab and run with, because you can take home general sessions, whether it's a virtual blog tour that you really want to know how to create, how to craft, how to implement it and put it together, whether Daniel Hall did an awesome session on audiobooks that's worth the price of admission. Mark Coker, who we had on the show a few weeks ago, did a session, 2 sessions actually, on the whole ebook strategy and implementation and what's going on and how to use it and all those things. Amber Ludwig did a phenomenal session on what are the 6 pillars that you need for your website, not last year, not last 6 months, but really now going forward. That's just 4 of the 25 sessions that we had. During those 3 days, an amazing amount of events, of activities, and I would encourage all of you to get over to the Author U site so you can see, hear what was going on. One of the sessions that we did, it wasn't in the main session, so there's not a DVD on it, and I'm going to go down that path with you now, was all about crowdfunding, and we had Pub Slush there. And Justine Schofield did a wonderful job on really introducing the concept. Pub Slush is one of the, there's over 1,000 crowdfunding platforms. Pub Slush is one of that 1,000, but what's exclusive about them, there's really 2 hot things. One is that it's just for authors and books. So if you're listening in, you know you're into the author book publishing arena. But the other thing is they have just been ranked number 1 for customer service. And one of the things that's very unique about Pub Slush is that they get so behind the author and the book itself that they really want to push it. So let's get into really kind of the magic wand of your project. I thought you'd walk you through. I have done several webinars on this just to share what's going on. And just in the last year, if you look at the number of projects that were in the publishing arena, how much was raised in publishing with all the genres, with all the platforms, over $15 million. $15 million, over 260,000 individuals made pledges of amounts, and that the amount that was launched, the actual amount that came forward to try to seek funds, was just a little bit over 5,600 individual book-related projects. Now, of that, not all of them were successful. 1/3 of them were successful. So what I want to get into is, how do you become that 1/3? And there is really some key things that you need to know to raise that into place so that you are that successful 1/3 in the project. And that's really what today is all about. So we'll be looking at that. I am going to be the only chatter-upper with you today, so I'm going to lead you through. I'm going to give you my input, my thoughts about it. We've worked with, and I've had the pleasure of working with several of my authors. For example, Chuck Fisher did a YA book, a fiction young adult book, and his goal was to raise $7,500. He raised over $8,300. He had 137 backers with it. And this book was actually, he got his students involved in it that helped him with his video, which a video is a critical factor. Another book was written by, or is being written by, it's not quite out yet because we're in editing, was written by Ashley Bratton, and it's called 30 by 30. And it's really all about the bucket list, and it's called the 30 by 30 list, Life Before the Lottery. Her goal was to raise $8,600. She raised $9,600. She had 54 backers. So where Charles had 137, Ashley had 54. And actually ended at 56, 57, I think, if I remember correctly, by the final, final closed out. But it's important to know that you can have a fiction book, a nonfiction book, you can have a children's book within those realms, but you can have just about anything. Not all the platforms are going to work. So let's look at the main platform now. The key platforms you'll be looking at would be either Kickstarter, which is the big monster and the gorilla in the room. And to work with Kickstarter, they are a fixed program. That means that if you say, like Chuck wanted $8,500, if he didn't raise that $8,500, he wouldn't get any money. It's fixed at that amount. Where a program like Indiegogo is a fixed or a flexible, meaning you can go with fixed and set a specific amount, or you can be flexible. Now, the advantage of a fixed or flexible, and also Pub Slush is a fixed or flexible program, is that when you look at those, that there's a higher charge if you go to the flexible and you don't succeed. So if you were on the Indiegogo flexible program and they funnel their monies, if the pledges, let's say, through Amazon, that if you're with their program, it's going to cost you roughly 12%. If you actually attain your goal, the fixed amount of whatever you designated as your ultimate goal, then your charge will be, under 8%. If you go with Kickstarter, because it's a fixed, and they use Amazon as well, you're going to be looking at 10%. They take 5% of the monies, and Amazon takes 5% for handling the processing of all the pledges. There's another fund that's kind of interesting to look at called Gofundme, and these are all .coms. So Kickstarter.com, Indiegogo.com, PubSlush.com. Gofundme is a flexible, it's not a fix, it's totally flexible. And you could have anything in the world you're thinking about funding that you can go through. And the Gofundme would be, for example, let's say you've had just a heck of a month and you've decided you need a little mini vacation. You could write up a Gofundme and put maybe an author's retreat. How's that? That you could put it up, GoFundMe for my author's retreat so I can write my epiphany and my life story and fill in the blank. And it's a flexible program. The cost is 8% of whatever's raised. So if you're, say you've got 1,000 in, you could actually pull it down right now. Where the other programs, you wait till you hit your goal or the time period is up and you pull it down and bring it about that way. So you could do a funding to pre-sell a book. You could raise your monies for a website for your book. You could raise monies for the marketing of your book once it's go out, or to fund a virtual blog tour with that. So there's a variety of things that you can do with it, but it's a matter of getting yourself focused, getting yourself organized, putting together a campaign, and knowing that you are going to have to work it. This is not something that you sit back and hope the money gods come in and find you. No, you are going to be the driver. And understand this, 30%, under 30%, or 1/3, whichever number you want to use, but 30% of the monies that you raise are going to come from people you know directly, family, friends, colleagues, maybe clients. But they come in, and it's important to get them on board from the get-go, because people who are going to come in and support you, who are clueless about who you are, what your project is, what your book is about, are going to be looking for you to already have some legs to this project, that there will be some seeding to it, because no one wants to throw money down something that doesn't look like it has a chance. So if you can come in and show from the very early on of it that there is support and your project is alive and well, you're much more likely to attract others along the way. A question that comes up often is monies from crowdfunding taxable? And in one word response, I'm going to tell you, yes, it is. Although there's still rulings out there trying to bypass some of that. Just do yourself a favor and declare every nickel you get as taxable. And after all, you're spending money. It's going to be expensed out. You're going to have offsets, so you don't need to worry about that. That's the wise thing, just to put it in that area. Now, when we come back from our break, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to talk about the rewards and creating them, and the focus and the key components of your crowdfunding program, because they're elementary, they're essential. If you don't have them in place, you're going to get in trouble. So we'll be right back. We're going to be talking about this. We'll start off with the overall goal. So while we're away, I want you to noodle this. What is your goal for the money? And think about what you're going to give to them if, as a reward, if they go along. It's a lot, and this is the essential element, foundation, infrastructure, because people are attracted by with rewards and your story. I'm Judith Briles. We'll be right back. It's Author You, your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Is there a book in you or another? Author You will show you how to create, develop, and publish your book without being hoodwinked. If you already have a book out, you'll find a supportive and brainstorming community that's connected and creative no matter where you live. Author You brings in national experts for its book camps and annual author extravaganza held each May. It has regular meetings and delivers webinars for its members on timely topics. Through Author U's extensive network, members enjoy exclusive benefits, including significant discounts for a variety of services necessary to publishing. The Resource, its online book publishing news magazine, is content-heavy and it's free. If you want to create a book that has pizzazz, punch, and panache, Author You is for you. If you're a hobbyist or a casual author, it's not. Join Author You today through its website at authoru.org. Follow Author You on Twitter at AuthorU and on Facebook at Author You, where timely author and publishing tips and articles are posted daily. Author You, where the author goes to become seriously successful.
Every picture tells a story. And it's a truism that people do judge a book by its cover. Nick Sellinger and NZ Graphics have been in the business of producing superior graphic cover design and interior layout for self-published authors, independent and traditional publishers for years. He has developed a reputation for excellent work, fast turnarounds, and best of all, affordable pricing. NZ Graphics also produces ebooks and book marketing materials such as posters, sell sheets, postcards, bookmarks, business cards, logos, and more. Books designed for his clients have won multiple book awards, including Best Book Award by U.S. Book News, multiple Evie Awards from the Colorado Independent Publishers Association, Indie Book Awards, the San Francisco Book Festival Award, and Freedom Medal Award from Valley Forge. Visit www.nzgraphics.com or call 303-985-4174 for more details about making your book the success it should be. Mention that you are an FOJ, friend of Judith's, and that you heard about NZ Graphics on your guide to book publishing.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Crowdfunding. Boy, I wish I'd had crowdfunding available when I was writing in the very beginning days. It's a new field. It's only a few years old. It could be called angel investing because these are people who are really investing in your idea they want to share. They're not asking for anything back in return, maybe some nice rewards, but they want your success. So that phrase of rewards-based crowdfunding, this is where pledgers are incentivized to give money in return for goodies, rewards coming back. And it could be a copy of your book before it's out to the general public. It could be some gimmick or gadget or a special webinar you're going to do for them. It could be a combination of an ebook and a book. And I always do this for my fiction authors. We put in one of the rewards is for, and it's always a goodly amount of money, like $1,000 or so, that you too can be a character in my next book. Or if you want to be the villain, those are a little bit more. But people actually buy those goodies. So pledgers, the incentive is that they get something back in return if they give you money. So when you're looking at this and focusing on your success as we start going through these steps, that usually if you are reaching for $10,000 or less, you're more likely to be successful. It's a great way to pre-sell your book, let people know, they get it on the inside track, and you offer some goodies, part of the rewards for that. And it gives you the ability to really promote and confirm a demand. If you're already known out there, people get involved from the very beginning of it. So as we look for some of these steps, that the first thing is that you need to have an Amazon payment account or payment on an account on PayPal. So you want to have that. Essential ingredient for a successful campaign is you create a video. Now, do you go on in perpetuity? No, you don't. 90 seconds or less is ideal, and sometimes a couple of videos if it's appropriate and going in. And I think it's a good idea for you to go through some of the tutorials. Look at PubSlush, look at Indiegogo, look at Kickstarter, and review not only the tutorials, but look over the videos, or actually the project sites of their successful campaigns. So you can see kind of there's a very logical step that they will go through with that. The next thing you want to do is really noodle your rewards and have a clear understanding of the amount you're after. And here's a thing that a lot of authors do not think about is they don't take into consideration the cost of their rewards. For example, if you are going to give someone let's say I give someone, if they put in $500, a slot to my Judith Briles Unplugged event in August. Well, that price is out at $597. In addition, so that would be higher up the scale because I'm going to start at $10. I'm going to have a $10, probably a $25, maybe a 50, or maybe I'd go from 10 to 50, who knows, but 10, 25, 50 is very common. 75, a lot of your monies are going to come between the 50 and the $100 range, by the way. So I could have a 10, 25, 50, 75, 100, and then I start jumping up. And let's say that I have a $500 and I offer five $500 ones, $500 rewards. So they get the $597. They put 500 in. They get the slot for that, which spends 2 days of intensive coaching and working with me. Then they also pick up everything prior, the $100 mark, the $75 mark, the $50 mark, the $25 mark, and the $10 mark. The $10 mark is most likely to be a hearty thank you. A $25 mark could be an ebook. A $50 could be the book, the ebook, and the hearty thank you. The $75 could be the hearty thank you, the ebook, the book, and maybe it's a free webinar in addition. And then the $100 mark would be all of those plus another goodie. So there is a progressive way you move through it. Have those, think about what the true cost is. Like, I know what my true cost of the Judith Briles Unplug event is because I serve meals and feed them. And there's an extensive workbook that's put together and there's videoing done. I know what the cost is per person. So I have to calculate, and if I'm giving 5 of those away, I have got to figure out, okay, that's 5 of those. It's going to come out of my pocket, plus a book, plus the ebook, plus the webinar, plus fill in the blank. I have to add in the cost. So if I really thought, well, when I'm really after 75, but you know what? This thing is really going to cost me $9,500. I need to raise $9,500. So important to understand that from the get-go. Understand that. All right, and then you're going to put together a laundry list of all your family and friends, those key connectors. This is not the time to be shy, Lois or Louie. This is not the time. You have to let them know, I'm working on this. I've got a key project going on. I want your support. I need to have you behind me. It's imperative to you to show that. Now, what you do on the side after you raise all your money, if you decide to give them back a little, I'm going to tell you, that's up to you. It's up to you. But I bet you they want to come in and support you. You just have to ask. And someone like me, who has been involved with so many boards over the years, that we had different fundraising events, that you can't get it unless you ask. So what's really important is you've got to put together a pitch. So when you're letting people know, that pitch has to be succinct, it needs to be to the point, it needs to encompass your vision, tad of that passion, and the commitment you have. That's all has to come together. So you can connect with family and friends to kick that off before you're ready to go. And then one of the things, as your campaign is going on, you're going to continue to communicate. I would encourage you to look at Chuck Fisher's, and that's FISCHER, campaign on Kickstarter. And his book was Beyond Infinity, and his video is actually way too long. He had it way too long, but you see he had his students do it, help him out and do it, and they talked and talked and talked and talked. Keep it short. 90 seconds is really best if you can bring it into play. And that, see, the kids then all got behind it, and guess who helped support the campaign? Mom and Dad. So let's be savvy and smart in that process. And then when you're ready to go public, the platforms do have people that stop in and visit and are looking for things because they like to do this. But this is where you need to really promote it out to your Facebook, to your Google+, to your Tumblr if you were on it, if you're doing Instagram, to LinkedIn, to tweet like crazy. It's really critical to do that. And I will share with you when we were working on Ashley's Bratton's campaign, and we were concerned because if you're not 80% funded by the last week, boy, the odds, it's getting tough. It's getting tough. And she was maybe 60%. And 3 days out, I went aggressively out to my Twitter follower, all my campaigns. Between my personal Twitter account, I have over 31,000 followers, to my the Author You Twitter account, there's over 21,000 followers. I did massive pushing on that. And that's not one tweet. That was probably 10 tweets a day on all my accounts. And on Facebook, of course, not that many, just a couple but a day. But I really pushed it, and we know that was instrumental in throwing it over. So when we move into the overall plan, you want to think about what's your need, how much money you need, and then choose your platform. Is it going to be Kickstarter? Is it going to be Indiegogo? Is it going to be PubSlush? What is it? Identify all your rewards. Bring it into area, and reconfirm. Now, is this your funding goal? The budget right for you? Okay, and then you want to go to your time length. The most successful are 30 days. Don't go past 60. You're going to be exhausted. Most of Kickstarter, PubSlush is going to be 40 days or less. Kickstarter is 30 days in that. Create the video. Now, you need to write up. Now we have content that's going to go in here too, and you need to bring your story. And you started off with the beginning. You can do a little bit more than you do in the video here. A little bit video. And by the way, in the video, you must tell them what you're using the money for. What's the purpose? Critical of that. And then you write it up in written, your social, add images wherever you can, and bring in your social media and which platforms you're going to go to, and then you're going to chat it up and move it into that. But it will make a huge difference as you go along on whether you are successful or not successful. And that's always a surprise to everybody what happens in there. So when we come back, I'm going to get into some of those elements that you're going to need for the written story and the content, and you're going to have some of them that will overlap, of course, into the video. They are synergistic, but critical. As I've said, I'm using that word a lot, I know, but for your success, because I want you to be successful in your author crowdfunding. I'm Judith Briles. We'll be right back with Author You, your guide to book publishing.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Since 1987, Color House Graphics has set the standard for quality book production. Whether you decide to print a small quantity of books or need a large print run, depend on Color House to help you. You'll receive professional help and advice the moment you reach one of our representatives. If you mention hearing about us on your guide to book publishing, Judith Briles, we will provide you a discount on the first order you place. To speak with a project manager, call us toll-free at 800-454-1916 or visit us at www.colorhousegraphics.com.
When Ned Thompson and Harry Shore started Thompson Shore in 1972, they believed employees with great character would make up the best company. They were right. They hired people who were not only experts in bookmaking, but who were obsessed with quality and delivering exceptional customer service. Almost 40 years later, Thompson Shore remains a 100% employee-owned company. Ned and Harry knew that successful customer projects are a direct result of empowered employees. We specialize in all books for large and small publishers. Creating beautiful and well-made books, we're dedicated to pleasing our customers by making the experience a good one from start to finish. The personal touch we have with our customers allows us to be innovative in solving their most difficult challenges. Our platform also ensures that we can remain flexible to meet our customers' unique needs and expectations. Our marketing kit can create buzz for your title, enhancing the promotion of your book during infancy. When you need to test the market to gauge your future sales, we can provide digitally printed books that will transition seamlessly into a larger offset run. From ebook to hard copy to delivery, our skillful customer service teams are at the ready to answer your most pressing question. At Thompson Shore, we know that making the highest quality books requires more than just best technologies. It requires superior customer service, professionalism to the trade, and commitment to environmental and social values. With these standards of excellence in place, you can be sure that we will always help you put your best book forward.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. Coming up, you'll hear more about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Alrighty, so we talked about some of the key steps to go through, and one of them is the video. So let's take a look back at that and come back to the content of the story, because this is going to tie in. So you've got to reiterate those key points from your video within the written content, and then you add those details that you couldn't have there but you can here. Re-explain now in writing, use bullets. Please use some bullets here and help people out with the eye reading, not just text, what the funds are for. Use some headers to categorize your written sections. And now you get to tell a little bit more about who you are, why you're the person to be writing this book, what makes it unique, and then why you're doing the project. And then finally, those images that are very critical on that. So, for example, you may say, I'm going to be hiring a website designer and builder for what you're doing, that you're going to print 2,000 copies of your book because you've already got pre-orders for fill in the blank. It could be you're going to be covering your marketing expense, or you're going to be hiring a professional cover designer for what you want in that area. So that's what you want to look for in your coming along. Now, as we look at the whole idea of funding your book project using OPM, other people's money, so this is the time you look at what's unique about your project. And then think about what's the emotional hook. I mean, really, how are you going to grab them? What is it when you throw out that invisible fishing line and you start reeling it in? What's that emotional hook? What value does your involvement have with your book? And again, I think it's always important to recognize what are the benefits to the user. If you've been listening to me for a while, that you recognize that there is, I've used this phrase often, problems make the world go around. So if you're writing a book that is nonfiction and is answering questions, solving things, giving solutions, advising, identifying, wake up call, fill in the blank, that's a benefit. So you really have to identify that. So your mechanics as we go forward is, and I've said this, you have a vision, you've got a commitment, you're going to create a story, video, rewards. You want to have in both your video, by the way, as well as your written, a call to action. A call to action. And all the time, if you'll write this down, Goyt, Goyt, the Goyt factor. You've got to get off your tush to really move it forward. So when you build this out, think about a theme, noodle a theme. You want to use images with your video. Is there a character? Do you have any activities? What kind of colors are you going to use? Think about the timing for yourself and that problem and solution. And then the next step you're going to do as you go through that you've got your content is you created your budget. So know what I think it's important to understand what the full cost of your book projects would be, but also the specific cost if you're going for just a marketing or a website. Know what the specific cost is so they can grasp that and they can get around that. Compare what other options you have. Should you do this one on your own out of your own savings account, or is this a good part to go with the crowdfunding? Figure out a date that everything is going to be ready, because in doing rewards, you're going to be asked to identify when that specific reward will be released to people and move out. So when will you deliver the ebook or the book, or identifying what the character is, or maybe you're going to go out, for example, and come back and do something like a special tea. Mara Pearl, who's someone that I've worked with, is offering a special tea. She has a wonderful women's fiction line, and that if you invest X amount of dollars, that she will come to your city for up to, say, 20 or 30 people, and everyone gets a book, plus she will do a wonderful tea and reading and that. And she has been all over the country. She has done these kind of teas. So you have that into play. So your release date, and of course you need your platform and those gifts and what else in that area. Now, where are you going to do this from? Well, the good news about your location is that you are the location for your project. You're the monitor of it. So wherever your computer is where you're going to have to check in and be glued, so you can post updates. And this is where you can add a new video. You don't leave town unless you're connected online. And it's a cost for you to do it is just basically to plug in your computer to make sure it's live and it's got juice. All right, pick your month. When are you going to go for it? What's best for you? What do you think works best for your potential donors? And you want to give yourself a lot of ample lead time. And do not go away at all, period, when you're got a campaign going on. And also, let me just throw out a possible month that people always shy away from, but let me throw it on the table. December, from the very end, Thanksgiving, toward December. Why? Because if people want to make a donation, especially for those of you who can tie your project, if you have a project that you're doing, not just a book, but a project that might be tied into a true not-for-profit organization, you might be able to get a tax deduction. You made a gift to charity, so think about that on that. Now, one of the other things I think is important leading up to your campaign, that you are in just a huge gathering of names. So everywhere you go, you get business cards. I would have sheets put out and just say, if you want to know about blah, 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 you need to sign up and get their emails, and always do a follow-up to thank them with where they're going in that arena. It's just really, really smart to do that in that. So building your crowd, as I've said before, it's going to be your family and friends that is going to bring you together. It will bring you together. But also, there's friends of friends. There's your coworkers. If you're involved in any meetup group, this is a great resource. Number one, talk it up, let people know, get their emails. You can't, my experience with Meetup, I have a couple of them that I run, and that you are, if you're the organizer, you can send a mass email to everybody, which would be way cool. If you have a group that is in LinkedIn, if you're running a LinkedIn group, for example, the Author U, and I hope all of you have joined Author U, the LinkedIn group, we have over 4,500 members there. I can send every 7 days, I have the capability of sending them a one-shot email out to everybody that they can join in and go to it. So that's a way to get to a lot of people. If I was doing my own campaign, I can hit 4,500 people, and I know that the bulk of them will open up the email. How cool is that? So you can do that. any social media contacts. And that also, don't forget, and I mentioned this earlier, the host platform, whether it's Indiegogo, Kickstarter, whether it's Gofundme, whether it's PubSlush, they have people that actually are followers, just like on whether it's Google Plus or Facebook or all that. They're followers, and they want to see what it's you have to say. So in other words, you can build your crowd from anywhere and everywhere, anyone and everywhere. It's very cool to support. That's what they drive with. Now, how do you promote? Very good idea to create a hashtag. And on a hashtag, that's the pound side, and make it maybe, central. For example, if Author U was doing a crowdfunding program, we actually already own the Author U hashtag. And if you went to find who registered, you'll find my name attached to that. But create your own. Hashtags have huge power. Why? Because they go into other channels. So when you're tweeting or Facebooking or Google Plus or LinkedIning or whatever it is that you're doing, that select a few of your keywords that you can go into to really tie in to open up other channels that other people follow, maybe that specific hashtag. And I mean, I'm going to give you a little crazy strategy, but if you watch any of the top-rated television shows, and here's my confession, I'm a fan of The Voice, okay? So if I wanted to let people know who were tracking The Voice, and as they're going, they have some special, Save the Singer campaign that they do when they get down to the final, and I know, for example, they'll have it next week, that there's a 5-minute window where you can tweet in that, you could kind of coattail on that, and somehow that you could say, for example, my book is the voice for blah, 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 blah. I would put a hashtag in front of book, and I would put a hashtag in front of the voice, and I would, collapse it. And then I would finish out my sentence and blast it out with a link to your platform page. It sounds a little tricky. Maybe some people think sneaky. I'd like to think stealth. But the voice, if you are the voice for a specific arena, a cause, an event, an idea, that encapsulates your book, my goodness, why wouldn't I use that and take advantage of it? So there are just certain things that you want to use to take advantage of. We'll be right back. We're going to get into some important things called keywords.
This is your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles. And we'll be right back with more great information right after these on the Rockstar Radio Network.
Do you sell stuff? Do you want to sell books? Lots of them? If yes, you must take credit cards, the most widely used form of payment today. The Free Terminal has created a special program for your guide to book publishing listeners. No contract. All equipment is free. Extremely low rates and no termination fees ever. Contact Alan Dean at alan@thefreeterminal.com or call him at 303-668-6828. The Free Terminal has handled all credit card transactions for both Author U and Judith for over a year. Don't wait another day. Contact Alan at thefreeterminal.com or call 303-668-6828 and tell him you want the no contract Author U deal.
Shepherding concept is simple. The publishing world is changing, and so must you. You need an experienced shepherd and a guide to partner with you as you create, strategize, develop, publish, and achieve your publishing goals. You can't do it alone without paying the price. You can spend your money creating a book that turns out to be so-so, or you can create a book that looks and feels classy, builds your brand, and is a financial success, a bestseller. It's your choice. You choose. You need the Book Shepherd. Publishing is riddled with obstacles, sometimes nightmares for the author. You don't need problems. You want solutions. Dr. Judith Briles will shepherd you through the maze and the chaos. At times, she's had to step in and rescue a book that has been sabotaged by a publisher or by a publishing service provider or sometimes even the author themselves. Judith Briles is the Book Shepherd if you want to create a book with no regrets. Give her a call today, 303-885-2207. That's 303-885-2207, or email her at judith@briles.com. By the way, Briles is spelled B-R-I-L-E-S. Follow Judith on Twitter at My Book Shepherd and on Facebook at The Book Shepherd.
At Total Printing Systems, customer service is our priority. We are located in Southern Illinois. Our employees have an average of 18 years experience and know that customer relationships are important to our continued success. We have been a short-run book printer for nearly 40 years and always stay at the forefront of technology. Our niche is from 1 to 5,000 copies. Today, we offer digital, black and white, and 4-color high-speed inkjet printing, a cost-effective way to introduce color into your short-run titles. We, of course, offer traditional offset printing as well. Bindery is done in-house, from adhesive case binding to PUR perfect binding to mechanical binding of all types, including side sewing. We provide warehousing, kitting, distribution, inventory management, a new print-on-demand facility, streaming browser-based ebooks, and bookstore. Call us at 1-800-465-5200 for a quote on your next book project. You can also visit our website at www.tps1.com.
Welcome back to your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. If you want to write and publish a book, if you want to be successful as an author, your guide to book publishing, everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask, is for you. Stay tuned and you'll hear about statistics, scenarios, and strategies on what to do now to get you published. So let's get back to the show. And here again is your host, Dr. Judith Briles.
Okay, so we were talking about the key steps to promo, and I want to get into why it's important to have your keywords as your promo. And one of the things is that tool that I use is called Keyword Spy, keywordspy.com. And you can go in and put what you think your keyword is and see how many people are searching in a month and look at phrases. And one of the things that you want to really look for is, instead of just putting in a keyword, get to a phrase that will bring people closer and closer to you. So for me, for example, if I put in coach, God, there's a gazillion people coach. Book coach now narrows it down. But what if I added writing and book coach? That would narrow it down, because now I can write in, because I'm a fairly decent writer. That would bring in. And what about writing and book coach for publishing success? So you see, as you keep adding on things, it brings narrowing down for people who are looking for exactly that. Keywordspy.com is a good tool to use. So as you're writing your promo pieces, because here's one of the things, as you roll out this campaign, because this is a campaign, is you want to ID some of the resources that can support you. I call them marketing partners, joint venture partners, that will also shout out that you've got this amazing program going on and that you want to bring it all together and do that. And you're going to write up tweets, you're going to write up a little mini blog maybe, you're going to write up some Facebook, Google+, LinkedIn type postings. You're going to use hashtags within them, and then you're going to share them with others who will shout out to their crowd that you're a rock star and that they should look in and support you. I mean, that's really what you want. And you ask people, don't be shy here when you're posting your own stuff. At the very end of it, after you do the link to whatever your platform is, in a shortened version, of course, that you're going to ask for them to repost it or retweet it and get it rolling that way. So those are a couple things that you want to do. It's important for you to be findable during this process. And so do that reach out. As I suggested, use Keyword Spy to find out really what might work for you, and be in that arena. All right, next up is the whole buzz factor. So you can't wish it, you gotta do it. So stop wishing, start doing. And here's how you create buzz. Promote, promote, promote. You want to tell everyone what you're doing. Don't be shy. You want all your social media contacts. You want to do your advocate marketing or your joint venture partners. And actually, don't be afraid to put flyers out. If you're going to any event, for heaven's sakes, create a flyer that you can leave out and use for people, and bring that into play. Next, we've mentioned this earlier in the program, but what are your rewards and your gifts? So as I've said, it could be as simple as a hearty thank you. It could be a Starbucks or a gift card. It could be a combination of an ebook, an audio, or a book. It could be a gift certificate to something. It could be an early bird rate for an item that's created with your book, or an event like I was sharing with you about the Judith Briles Unplugged event. It could, remember, you increase the number of items for more money donated. It could be considering a private event that you might host, maybe a special dinner for 10, for example, that you host with all these people, and you're paying the bill, by the way, that you host, bringing them all in, people who supported you. It could be a character in the book, as I suggested, a special listing, a special acknowledgement. You could create an item of the month. You could do a special consulting with them to work them through a project. It could be a ticket to a sporting event. Think what you can do in item. And I'll share with you, when I was doing some research for creating just a webinar that I do on crowdfunding, that I was looking up successful campaigns, and I came across a gadget, and I said, man, I would have bought this in a nanosecond when I saw it. And I actually went back and I donated it because one of the things that they were offering was this really pre-package that you would get the item. It was not a book. It was a item that you would get multiple items. And I was thinking, you know what? These would be great Christmas gifts to family members. So you just never know. Now, as we put this all together, because we're in our last segment here, is remember, you need a pitch video. This is critical, 90 seconds or less. For your content page on the platform, it's essential that you have a bio. You've got that written pitch, besides the video, a written pitch, which will have much more detail. Use headlines, subheads, use bullets, add in images. You need to have some decent gifts. Everyone expects at the $5 or $10. You're not going to get very many at this level, by the way. People bypass and pretty quickly get to the $25. That hearty thank you. And you'll do that by email, or you know what? You could collect their address and send them a snail mail, which actually a nice postcard or a note card is nice to receive. Your gifts and rewards are all critical. So what you're going to tie into them. You want to create your campaign image as you're going along. You want to set your time limit. Remember, I mentioned this earlier, but 30 days is probably the best. You want to make sure that there are links within your site. Send them to your home page, but make sure they come back when they go off of it, that it comes right back to your crowdfunding page. Reach out to those family and friends. They're so important. And you know what? Reward people with a record of what's happening, and use, for example, Instagram. Take pictures, take snapshots, use Snagit as it's going on. And as your campaign's moving along, I would take these pictures and then I would post them on Google+. I would post them on Facebook. I would let people see what's happening, so that they will, if they're paying attention, if they're following you in any kind of pattern, that they'll see, oh, look at, they're already up another $1,000. Oh, maybe I'll get in. And, a lot of people wait till the last minute, by the way, for that, or they've held it back. And one of the strategies I do want to share with you is that if you're close, if you have a fixed campaign saying that I'm going to raise, for example, $8,000, if you have a fixed campaign and you're at $7,200, for heaven's sakes, get out your credit card and fund the rest yourself. This is really critical to keep in mind in this process, because if you don't, it's nuts to leave this money on the table and do it back. And I know I always support my clients when they're in that. So when you put it all together, you've got it, you call in, you invite them out. Remember the use of the money. Don't leave people hanging in that process, because this is what's really very exciting in the end. So as I recap that written story, that key info, tell them why you want the money. You got to build trust, reveal your budget, don't hide stuff. And by the way, make sure you proofread everything from your headlines to the content as you go along, and create those master tweets to share with other people. Use hashtags. Check out those tutorials as I go along. And at the very end, when this is over, you are going to send thank you notes to everybody who participated. Make sure you meet your deadlines to get those rewards out that you promise. Update your contributors to the progress of what's going on, and certainly encourage them to join in to your blog, newsletter, your e-zine, and make sure you invite them to all events. When it's over, make sure you do a recap. What worked, what didn't. Make sure you send out thank yous to all those people behind the scenes that helped out. And I'm going to guarantee you will have a great time with this. You will find monies, other people's monies, that will make your event possible, which is what this is all about. So before I leave you, I wanted to let you know that I've got a couple of things coming up. I mentioned it. I would love to have you join me. August 1st to 2nd, the Judith Briles Unplugged event is there. And if you use this code UNPLUGGED, you will save $100 when you register. It's 2 very intense days just with me. No one else is speaking, talking, or you may be, because I could put you in the hot seat. But we'll get into creating a killer speech, and I'll structure you through that. I'm going to show you how to write and create the signature stories that will add to your speech, that will make you unique and stand out. We're going to do a section on crowdfunding. We'll certainly get into publishing. We're going to get into so much more. The details are on the bookshepherd.com website. And starting in June, there'll be a new author's arc. And what we do here is that it's 3 consecutive months. Again, it's just me. It's all online. And it's we do have a group coaching session. There's one a month. There is webinars. I do live webinars. I do laser one-on-one coaching. If you want to join me, go to bookshepherd.com. We'll see you next week. This is Judith Briles. It's Author You, your guide to book publishing.
Thank you for being a part of your guide to book publishing. Everything you want to know but didn't know what to ask. With your host, Dr. Judith Briles.